episode 10 of Scott's Quick Cash Class. Today we're going to be talking about credit versus debit cards. So I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with credit cards and debit cards. We got them in our pockets. We get inundated with advertisements. We get emails. We get all kinds of stuff. Shoot, probably even texting now for different offers. But which one is best? How should we use it? Should we just use debit cards? Should we just use credit cards? Hopefully after this we'll give you a little bit of insight into which one could fit best. So, generally speaking, if you have plenty of money and you need to make a purchase, use your debit card, right? That way you don't have to worry about interest or paying it off or anything like that. But the reality of the situation is not all of us have enough money all the time to pay for things, especially the younger generation I'm talking to out there. So we need to use credit wisely. We need to use credit cards wisely. There's a lot of different things that you can do with credit. I generally recommend having just 1 to 2 cards. Now, you'll have people that might tell you, hey, this one has 0%, so transfer the balance, keep transferring the balance and stuff like that. But I guess that's a theory. I've just looked at it. It's easier to keep track of 1 to 2 cards. Plus the less things you have to keep track of, the easier it is to manage, right? And this is all about behaviors. All my different episodes that I'm talking to you about and the different subjects, it's all about behavior, mindset, and changing those bad habits, right? So that you can put good habits in place. And one of those things is when you have a credit card, if you only have 1 or 2 of them, it's much easier to have good habits in place with those. So let's talk about a few statistics regarding credit cards. So on average, if you use a credit card versus debit card, you're going to spend 12 to 18% more for each individual purchase. When you do have credit, if you use over 30% of your available credit, meaning if you have a $1,000 limit on your credit card and you use more than $300 of that, you will actually hurt your credit score. The credit score configurator, that's a very large percentage of your credit score is how much credit you're using, and that will hurt. So you definitely want to keep it under 30%. Ideally, it's best to keep it under 10%. When lenders and the credit card companies see that you're under 10%, they know you manage credit very well. So that would be my recommendation. If you're going to be using credit cards, keep it to 1 to 2. Never go over 30% unless it's an absolute emergency, but try to keep it under 10% because then you always look like you're in control of your finances, which you would be if you're keeping it under 10%. Using your credit cards properly can also unlock some other options for you. You guys have heard about cash back and different type of rewards. My wife and I have a Capital One card that we use for that purpose. Now, we do pay it off every month. However, we still get the rewards for it. I don't try to use it that much, but when we do, we are getting rewards. So it's kind of almost like you're double dipping. Now, I wouldn't say to use that on a regular if you're just trying to get the rewards out of it, but we use it to keep it active because obviously you want to still see good paid accounts. Also, with credit cards, especially if you're making maybe like going on a trip or things like that, you get a little bit more protection with a credit card versus a debit card. I know, if you've used a debit card to rent a car or stay at a hotel, sometimes they'll put a little bit bigger hold on it there. So that's one of the nice things about a credit card is that, yes, they do put a hold on it, but it's not actually taking money out of your pocket. And then, obviously they do release that hold later on the credit card, but you get a little bit more protection from the credit card companies than you do from the banks. Just in my experience, when I've had fraud issues on both of them, I've gotten definitely more help from the credit card company than from my bank. So hopefully that helped you out. You learned a little bit there today. We're going to leave you with the tip of the day and the question of the day. So question of the day, are you using credit as a tool or are you avoiding it out of fear? So which one of those are you? And then tip of the day, don't avoid credit, learn to master it, but set up auto pay and stay under 30%, ideally 10% like we talked about. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you got something. Subscribe. Remember, I'm bringing you 5-minute podcasts every day. Never going to ask you to buy something, just helping you guys out with some financial knowledge. ask some questions, leave a comment. I'm always looking for some information from you guys. Tell me what you like to hear, and maybe some of the different podcast episodes you want me to talk about. I'm always open. Till next time.